Hostess, Nym, Bardolph, and Boy. Prithee, honey sweet husband, let me bring thee to Staines.
No, for my manly heart doth yearn. Bardolph, be blithe. Nym, rouse thy vaunting veins. Boy, bristle thy courage up, for Falstaff he is dead, and we must yearn therefore.
Would I were with him wheresoe'er he is, either in heaven or in hell.
Nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom, if ever man went to Arthur's bosom, and made a finer end, and went away, and it had been any chrisom child, aparted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets, and play with flowers, and smile upon his fingers' ends, I knew that was but one way, for his nose was as sharp as a pen, and her babbled o' green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what man, be of good cheer. So I cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him I should not think of God. I hoped there was no need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So I bade me lay more clothes on his feet. I put my hand into the bed and felt them, and they were as cold as any stone. Then I felt to his knees, and they were as cold as any stone, and so upward and upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
They say he cried out of sack.
Ay, that he did.
And of women.
Nay, that he did not.
Yes, that it did, and say they were devils incarnate.
He never could abide carnation. 'Twas a colour he never liked.
He said once the devil would have him about women.
It did in some sort, indeed, handle women, but then he was rheumatic, and talked to the whore of Babylon.
Do you not remember? It saw a fleece stick up in Bardolph's nose, and said it was a black soul burning in hell fire.
Well, the fuel is gone that maintained that fire. That's all the riches I got in his service.
Shall we shog? The king will be gone from Southampton.
Come, let's away. My love, give me thy lips. Look to my chattels and my movables. Let senses rule. The word is pitch and pay. Trust none, for oaths are straws, men's faiths are wafer cakes, and holdfast is the only dog, my duck. Therefore Cavito be thy counsellor. Go, clear thy crystals. Yoke fellows in arms, let us to France. Like horse leeches, my boys, to suck, the very blood to suck.
And that's... but unwholesome food to say.
Touch her soft mouth, and march.
Farewell, hostess.
Kissing her.
I cannot kiss. That is the humour of it, but adieu.
Let housewifery appear. Keep close, I thee command.
Farewell. Adieu. Exeunt. Scene 4. France. The King's palace. Flourish. Enter the French King, the Dauphin, the Dukes of Berry and Bretagne, the Constable, and others.
Thus comes the English with full power upon us, and more than carefully it us concerns to answer royally in our defences. Therefore the Dukes of Berry and of Bretagne, of Brabant and of Orleans shall make forth, and you, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch, to line and new repair our towns of war with men of courage and with means defended. For England his approaches makes as fierce as waters to the sucking of a gulf. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us out of late examples left by the fatal and neglected English upon our fields.
My most redoubted father, it is most meet we arm us against the foe, for peace itself should not so dull a kingdom, though war nor unknown quarrel were in question, but that defences, musters, preparations should be maintained, assembled, and collected, as were war in expectation. Therefore, I say 'tis meet we all go forth, to view the sick and feeble parts of France, and let us do it with no show of fear, no, with no more than if we heard that England were busied with the Whitsun Morris dance, for, my good liege, she is so idly kinged, her sceptre so fantastically borne by a vain, giddy, shallow, humorous youth, that fear attends her not.
Oh, peace, Prince Dauphin! You are too much mistaken in this king. Question your grace the late ambassadors, with what great state he heard their embassy, how well supplied with noble counsellors, how modest in exception, and withal how terrible in constant resolution, and you shall find his vanity's forespent were but the outside of the Roman Brutus, covering discretion with a coat of folly, as gardeners do with order hide those roots that shall first spring and be most delicate.
Well, 'tis not so, my lord high constable. But though we think it so, it is no matter. In cases of defence 'tis best to weigh the enemy more mighty than he seems, so the proportions of defence are filled, which of a weak or niggardly protection doth, like a miser, spoil his coat, with scanting a little cloth.
Think we King Harry strong? And princes, look you strongly armed to meet him. The kindred of him hath been fleshed upon us, and he is bred out of that bloody strain that haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame when Cressy battle fatally was struck, and all our princes captive by the hand of that black name Edward, Black Prince of Wales, whiles that his mountain sire, on mountain standing up in the air, crowned with the golden sun, saw his heroical seed and smiled to see him mangle the work of nature and deface the patterns that by God and by French fathers had 20 years been made. This is a stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the native mightiness and fate of him.
Enter a messenger. Ambassadors from Harry King of England do crave admittance to your majesty.
We'll give them present audience. Go and bring them.
Exeunt messenger and certain lords.
You see, this chase is hotly followed, friends.
Turn head and stop pursuit, for coward dogs most spend their mouth when what they seem to threaten runs far before them. Good my sovereign, take up the English sword and let them know of what a monarchy you are the head. Self-love, my liege, is not so vile a sin as self-neglecting.
Re-enter lords with Exeter and train.
From our brother England?
From him, and thus he greets your majesty. He wills you in the name of God Almighty, that you divest yourself and lay apart the borrowed glories that by gift of heaven, by law of nature and of nations, long to him and to his heirs, namely, the crown and all wide-stretched honours that pertain by custom and the ordinance of times unto the crown of France. That you may know 'tis no sinister nor no awkward claim picked from the wormholes of long-vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion raked, he sends you this most memorable line, in every branch truly demonstrative, willing to overlook this pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from his most famed of famous ancestors, Edward the Third, he bids you then resign your crown and kingdom, indirectly held from him, the native and true challenger.
Or else what follows?
Bloody constraint. For if you hide the crown, even in your hearts, there will he rake for it. Therefore in fierce tempest is he coming, in thunder and in earthquake, like a Jove, that, if requiring fail, he will compel. And bids you, in the bowels of the Lord, deliver up the crown, and to take mercy on the poor souls for whom this hungry war opens his vasty jaws, and on your head turning the widow's tears, the orphan's cries, the dead men's blood, the pining maiden's groans for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers, that shall be swallowed in this controversy. This is his claim, his threatening, and my message. Unless the Dauphin be in presence here, to whom expressly I bring greeting too.
For us, we will consider of this further. Tomorrow shall you bear our full intent back to our brother England.
For the Dauphin, I stand here for him. What to him from England?
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender, doth he prize you at.